If you like to talk about combat sports and you want to join the discussion, click the subscribe button below and the bell notification icon next to it and join Knucklehead Nation. Ladies and gentlemen of Knucklehead Nation, welcome to the Conor McGregor versus Cowboy Cerrone post-fight show. This is our live discussion reaction forum where everybody's welcome to come in and give their opinion on the fight. And obviously, we are going to recap the fight ourselves. And my goodness, what more can I say other than, my goodness, the Irish are back. Conor McGregor is back in full effect. And in just 40 seconds, he absolutely lit up the entire T-Mobile arena with one of the most spectacular comeback victories you'll ever see in your life, as he basically rendered Cowboy Cerrone useless and then was pulled off of him 40 seconds into the first round to prevent him from rendering him unconscious. Conor McGregor looked as fast and as powerful and as strong and as slick as he's ever looked before in those small 40 seconds where he was able to dispatch Cowboy Cerrone. So all the talk of him being better than he's ever been and all the talk of him being, better than the 2016 Conor McGregor, and, it doesn't look like it was just hype. It looks like Conor McGregor really is continuing to improve, and now at the age of 31, where typically, guys start to prime in their early 30s, it looks like Conor McGregor may be priming already or maybe headed there. And, despite a year and 3 months out of the octagon without any action, and all the drama that went down in his life, he goes in there against a very active Donald Cowboy Cerrone and absolutely turns the lights out in that arena and in Donald Cowboy Cerrone's brain, or at least partially. It wasn't a knockout, but it was a technical knockout with Herb Dean being forced to come in and throw Conor McGregor off of Cerrone. I mean, basically what happened was, the fight started, McGregor attacked with a straight left hand, his strongest punch. Cowboy Cerrone ducked it, and they got into the clinch. At that point, Conor McGregor utilized something so unorthodox. I mean, the guy is just so creative. The guy is just so special, right? So they're in the clinch, and he starts throwing vicious left shoulders into Cowboy Cerrone's face. He lands on 4 of them. Looks like he completely distorts Cowboy Cerrone's senses after the first or second one. Busts his nose, I think, on the second one. They disengage. Cowboy Cerrone's on Queer Street. And then Conor McGregor throws a high left kick that connects flush on Cowboy Cerrone, sends him reeling into the cage, and Conor McGregor just follows up with strikes, and the bout has to be called off because essentially Cowboy Cerrone is left curled up and helpless as he's absorbing left hand after left hand after left hand from Conor McGregor. So, no controversy, just a clean dismantling. I mean, one of the most violent and quick finishes you've ever seen of Donald Cowboy Cerrone. And I must say, I'm very impressed. I'm very impressed by Conor McGregor. I thought that this fight might go a little bit longer. I didn't think that this fight would end in just 40 seconds. But for whatever reason, I mean, Conor McGregor is able to carry that power to 170 pounds. Although Cowboy Cerrone, I don't know if he's a natural 170-pounder, but definitely carried that power up and looked to really hurt Cowboy Cerrone with his strikes. By the way, big shout out to Joybird, sending me these free drinks. Check them out on Instagram. So all the homies are in the chat, and I'm sure we're going to get some more as the night progresses. We're going to take our time tonight. We're going to talk about this fight. I want to hear your opinions, and I'm going to give you mine. This is the Fight Forum. Tell me what you guys think, knuckleheads. If you're not already, hit the subscribe button below and the bell notification icon next to it, and join Knucklehead Nation, the only forum on YouTube where we don't care where you're from, what you look like, what your opinion is, as long as you come in here and give an opinion and engage and have a good time. That's all we care about. Also, if you got your whiskey ready, if you got your vodka ready, if you got your cigar, your little whatever else that you do ready, it's time to enjoy and start talking. So Jamaican in here, what's up, my brother? He says, wow, just wow, congrats to Conor. To be honest, that was an active Cowboy coming off 2 knockouts, though. I think Conor beats Gaethje. Tony Ferguson, I don't think so. But look, Jamaican, I know what you're saying, my brother. But how many times have we seen Tony Ferguson critically hurt in a fight? He was hurt against Pettis, who lost tonight. He was hurt against in the fight with Kevin Lee. I mean, in almost all his fights, Tony Ferguson, despite being a beast, gets clipped and gets hurt. Could you imagine if he gets caught by a shot from Conor McGregor? Is he going to make it out? Is he going to be able to stumble and tumble forward like he did against Anthony Pettis and avoid the finishing blows? That remains to be seen, and I think it's definitely a fight that should be made. As far as Gaethje, I really think Conor does beat Gaethje. I think Gaethje's got a tremendous wrestling base, but he's just not going to utilize it against Conor. He's not going to utilize it against Conor. He's going to want to stand with Conor and trade blows with him, and everybody who does that is going to pay dearly for that mistake. He looked very sharp tonight. He looked very, very sharp tonight. And that creativity with those shoulder blows and the damage he was able to do with those little shoulder blows. I mean, that was incredible. That was incredible. Pound for pound boxing. 5'10", my brother, what's going on? Thank you for joining the chat, my man. He says, Rosario is a heavy-handed kid. Let me tell you something. There was one controversial fight, one controversial stoppage tonight, and one that was not. The one that was not was obviously this Conor McGregor Cowboy Cerrone fight. There was no controversy in that stoppage. But in boxing, as usual, and my dad was watching the fight out in Miami. Much love to him. Miss you, Pops. He was watching the fight. He didn't agree with me. I thought that even though Rosario was putting in work and doing a great job, I thought the referees cheated Julian J. Rock Williams out of taking an 8 count and, or taking a knockdown, maybe taking a knee and having the opportunity to come back in that fight. I felt like that was a high-stakes fight. Julian Williams is the champion. Of course, big props, big up to Brian Rosario. I don't even know what his first name is anymore. Big ups to Rosario. He did a fantastic job in there, and that was a vicious fight, but I thought that was a little bit controversial. Maybe you guys will disagree with me there. My dear Watson's in here. What up, my brother? He says, will Conor now fight Masvidal next? Or are their weight classes too different? Well, essentially tonight, he fought at Masvidal's weight class. So, he could potentially stay in this weight class and continue and fight Masvidal or maybe fight Kamaru Usman. And these are all fights that can be made. I think they're all very interesting fights. I do prefer to see Conor at 155 pounds. If he feels good at 170, by all means, let him fight at 170. But I think Conor's more of a natural 155-pounder. I mean, let's keep in mind this guy is made 145 at one point in his career, and I don't know how he's going to stack up physically against guys like Covington and Masvidal and Usman and Tyron Woodley. I mean, these guys are a lot bigger than him. That's not to say that he can't hurt these guys. I do think that he's just so freaking sharp on the feet that he could sneak that left hand in there, or a left high kick like he did tonight, or whatever it is, some shoulders. The guy's a beast, man. The guy's quick. The guy's a beast. The guy's fast. The guy hits hard at 170, at 145, at 155. It doesn't matter. He hits hard. He fights to finish. And, at any point, if he lands a blow on you, you could be in big trouble. You could be in very big trouble. Let's see here. Masvidal versus Khabib. That's an interesting one too. But Khabib is going to stay at 155 pounds where he's the champion. He's got no need to jump up to 170 pounds, pound for pound, my brother. I do think the next best fight for McGregor, I would like to see him maybe fight Gaethje. Maybe if we get a quick turnaround, get him in there against Gaethje, let Khabib and Tony Ferguson handle their business, and let the winners fight each other. If that doesn't happen, I'd love to see him against Masvidal. If I'm being honest, though, because I'm more of a fan of the integrity of the sport, I would like to see Jorge Masvidal take on Kamaru Usman, and then after that, whatever fantasy fights these guys want to make, by all means. I know these are prize fighters. They're looking for the big money fights, but I think the integrity of the sport is very important, because without it, we lose interest and we lose those big money fights down the line. So I think it's very important. Jorge Masvidal, Kamaru Usman throwdown. Throw Conor McGregor in there against Justin Gaethje. Gaethje's not going to say no to that fight. He's not going to say no to that huge payday. Make that fight happen. And then after Khabib and Tony Ferguson settle their business, give Conor, and the winner between Conor and Gaethje, the winner between Tony and Khabib. What do you guys think of my plan? I think it's a fantastic one. Eric Langarica says, what's up, my people? Langarica in the house. Fighters Rep is legit. Thank you, brother, for joining the chat. Much appreciated. If you guys haven't already, I saw somebody subscribed already. If you haven't subscribed, be sure to hit that subscribe button, the bell notification icon. You would not only be helping me continue to build the brand and this channel, but you would be helping me build the only kickboxing promotion in the entire state of California. And don't forget, we got a huge card coming on February 28th. It's going to be live from Seal Beach, California. We're planning 16 fights, all striking. None of this hugging and grappling bullshit that you guys saw in that Holly Holm, Raquel Pennington fight, which was a fucking stinker. In these Fighters Rep events, guys got to stand and bang it out. Again, it's pure unified rules kickboxing. There's only striking. There's no grappling allowed. It's like boxing. If people clinch, they break them up. I guarantee you, you're in for a treat if you buy your tickets at fightersrep.com. Or you can just tune in right here live on YouTube. We'll be live streaming the event if you can't make it, if you guys are abroad somewhere. James Doherty says, to be fair, Cowboy's over the hill, but Conor looks far stronger at this weight. He should stay there. James, 2 fights ago when Cowboy was fighting Tony Ferguson and gave him hell in that first round and had rattled off something like 4 wins before that, nobody was saying Cowboy's over the hill. People were saying this is Dad Cowboy, and Dad Cowboy with fatherhood behind him is one of the most impressive forces in MMA. So let's not forget the fact that he was absolutely tearing through competition like a hot knife through butter before he lost that weird decision because of a cut in the Tony Ferguson fight and then got knocked out by Justin Gaethje. Before that, he was totally tearing through people. So, let's not forget that. Maybe he is over the hill, but maybe he's not. Maybe Conor McGregor is just that damn good and deserves that credit. And you're saying McGregor looks far stronger at the weight. He did look strong, but I think his natural weight is 155. Who knows? Maybe you're right moving forward. We'll see what he does. Either way, as fans, we're very excited about what Conor McGregor is going to be doing in the future. Let me know in the chat, who do you want to see him fight next? Who would you guys like to see McGregor fight next? How would you like to see the division play out? What division do you want to see him stay in? And what do you think happens at 170 and 155? I'd love to get your opinions. My dear Watson says, Cowboy was all hat and no cattle. That's absolutely hilarious and creative. I love it, brother. Jamaican says, come on, man. J-Rock was out. His eyes rolled over. Jamaican, my brother. J-Rock was the champ. He's a veteran. He wasn't even on the floor yet. Let Rosario drop him, or let J-Rock drop to his knees, try to collect himself with an 8 count, and let him continue fighting instead of just jumping in there and stopping the fight against the defending champion. I have a bit of a problem with it, I agree. I agree that he got hit and his eyes rolled back, but he kept fighting. He stayed up. He still had his wits about him, and the referee did not give him the chance to redeem himself and to recover. Pound for Pound Boxing 510 says, J-Rock was really hurt, bro. Hey, I agree. I agree the man was hurt. Don't get me wrong, guys. I'm not disagreeing and saying that J-Rock wasn't hurt. I absolutely agree that he was hurt. But again, he didn't get dropped yet. He may have been on wobbly legs, but he wasn't dropped yet. He wasn't even given the chance to either get knocked down or to go down to one knee and take an 8 count and try to collect himself. Let's not forget, this is a guy who's worked his entire life for this opportunity to be a champion, and he's defending it for the first time in a fantastic back and forth fight. Give the man a chance to recover. That's all I'm saying. A couple more shots. I don't think J-Rock would have disagreed with that. Him taking a couple more shots or being given the chance to take an 8 count or go down on a knee. So hit that like button like Pound for Pound Boxing says. I'd really appreciate it, guys. If you guys hit that like button, again, hit the subscribe and the bell notification icon. We go live immediately after all the big fights, and Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific. So thank you for joining us. We welcome your opinion and we appreciate it. Help us contribute and continue to build the channel. Suleiman says, Cowboy is trash, top 15 gatekeeper. Ouch. Suleiman with the brutality. And Pound for Pound Boxing over here laughing. Suleiman says, Gaethje just tweeted at McGregor saying it was a punk move of him to take that Cowboy fight when he was available. I look forward to it. I look forward to Gaethje versus McGregor. I don't think McGregor says no to that fight. I don't think Gaethje says no to that fight. If you ask me, let's get it on, knuckleheads. I want to see that fight. Ferguson versus McGregor would be huge, says Christopher Reuter. Thank you for joining the chat, brother. I appreciate it. Hope I'm saying that right. Or is it Reuter? It could be Reuter, like Reuters, the news, or whatever it is. Much appreciated for you joining the chat, brother. Ferguson McGregor would be huge. Ferguson Habib would be big, even bigger. And I think Gaethje McGregor would be massive because we all know what's going to happen in that fight. That's going to be another slugfest if it happens. Ferguson would probably try to get the fight to the ground at some point. Christopher Reuter saying that Holly Holm fight was fire, bro. That Holly Holm fight was hot trash is what it was. I think those flames are coming up from a landfill because that fight was, woo. Man, I could not stand that fight. And the referee, Herzog, decided finally at the very last minute of the very last round in that fight to break these two women up to prevent them from hugging each other to fucking death the entire fucking fight. It was absolutely ridiculous. And the sad part for me is I was looking forward to that Holly Holm Raquel Pennington fight. I was looking forward to a scrap, but man, Holly Holm wanted to do nothing but grab Raquel Pennington, push her up against the cage, and pin her there for the entirety of the fight. And it was just absolutely shameful. It was shameful to watch, and it was painful to watch. Eric Langarica says, although Conor won the fight, we still need to see how Conor handles a true 170-pound punch. 170-pound punch such as Masvidal. I agree with that. 100%. And I'll say this. I don't know if his frame can take a punch from a legit 170-pounder like Jorge Masvidal. But again, I've already told you guys what I'm looking forward to. I'd like to see Jorge Masvidal fight Kamaru Usman. I'd like to see McGregor fight Justin Gaethje. In an ideal world, I'd like to see both of those happen. And then I'd like to see, obviously, Khabib versus Tony. Hopefully it actually goes through this time. The winner of Khabib versus Tony goes up against the winner of McGregor versus Gaethje. Let's sort this shit out, baby. Let's sort it out. Also, again, Kamaru versus Masvidal. That's the fight that needs to happen. Maybe Covington runs it back with, or throws down with Tyron Woodley. And that's how we sort out the 170-pound division. Of course, there's Leon Edwards too, man. A lot of people are sleeping on Edwards. I think Leon Edwards is a bad mamma jamma, and he needs to be allowed to compete for a top spot as well. He's been doing his thing for a while in the division, so I'd like to see him in there with some of the big dogs. James Doherty says Ferguson, Conor, and Khabib is where the top money fights will be happen. At whatever weight they make it, I think, and money talks. So these three will have a few fights against each other. I'd like to see that happen sooner than later. I do think Ferguson might be in trouble if he loses to Khabib, especially considering where he's at in his age and his career. If he loses to Khabib, who also might not stick around for too much longer considering everything he's done in the sport, these fights may be in jeopardy. But again, I agree. I would like to see all of these fights happen. Pound for pound boxing 510 says straight fire trash. My brother, that Holly Holm fight versus Raquel Pennington was a fucking incinerator. That thing that you drop the garbage in that lights it on fire. And it just stinks up the whole fucking neighborhood. That shit was horrible. Oh my God, they better never let Holly Holm fight Raquel Pennington again. And if she's going to fight anybody again, they shouldn't let her hold. It should be an only striking match. Come on down to Fighters Rep. I'll make the fight happen. Pure striking. Spines, Roblox, thank you so much for joining the chat, my brother. Much appreciated. Hit the subscribe and bell notification icon if you haven't. We'd love for you to join us in the future as well. He says, I was so hyped to see McGregor back in action. Did not disappoint. Wish it was longer, though. I agree. Sometimes I wish it was longer, but that's what you get when you get Conor McGregor, right? You get, either a drag-out, knockdown decision, or you get a quick finish. Very rarely is it anything else. And he came back and he was vintage Conor McGregor, finishing the fight so quick. A part of me was worried that the same McGregor wasn't going to show up. A part of me was thinking, man, maybe he just got too rich. He's not going to be able to come through with the same sort of tenacity and aggressiveness and skills, and he's just not going to have it anymore. But man, he silenced that worry in the back of my head, like like a bucket of cold water on the incinerator on the fiery trash Holly Holm Raquel Pennington fight, which was an absolute disgrace. Eric Langatica says Holly apologized herself for not letting her hands go. Boring fight. Hell yeah, that was a boring fight. And again, the sad thing is, I love women's MMA, man. I think women's MMA is as entertaining as men's MMA to me. It's a lot of fun. I like watching, when they scrap it out. And I thought that was going to happen tonight. I thought to myself, Raquel Pennington is a dog. She's going to go out there. She's going to want to fight. Holly Holm's probably going to exchange with her. I did not expect that, I don't know, it was like fucking Elmer's glue. They were just bam. And they would hug each other, and then they would fly into the cage and smother each other all over the cage. It was a lot of bullshit, and I didn't like it. Logic, what up, my brother? Thank you for joining the chat. Much appreciated. He says, do you think the gimmick McGregor-Pac fight happens? I hope not. So many better fights in their respective sports. I agree with so many more and better fights in their respective sports. But man, I would watch that fight. I would definitely watch that fight. The reason I would watch that fight is because Pacquiao is old now, man. Pacquiao is old. Like, yeah, sure, he still had the skill to drop Keith Thurman. But again, Keith Thurman is another guy who's kind of not been the same in years. And, I think it would be interesting to see what Conor McGregor, who's so much bigger than Manny Pacquiao, let's not forget, he was bigger than Mayweather, so he's going to be way bigger than Manny Pacquiao. So it'd be interesting to see what a much bigger McGregor can do against Manny Pacquiao. But at the end of the day, I want to see McGregor at 155 against Gaethje, and Pacquiao maybe fight somebody else like Errol Spence or somebody like that. I don't want to see them cross over at this time. There's just, like you said, Logic, there's too much business to handle, in their respective sports. Christopher Reuter says, does Ferguson age? You got me on that one, Chris Reuter. He doesn't age. I guess he's a bit immortal in some aspects, and the fact that he came back from the injury that he had so quickly and was still able to perform the way he did, I think speaks to his immortality. So you might be right. Detour, thank you so much for joining the chat, brother. Hit the subscribe button and the bell notification icon right here and join Knucklehead Nation. And Detour says, Mystic Mac is back, baby. You better believe Mystic Mac is back. And he may just be as good as ever. My goodness, that performance was surprising. That performance was impressive. Even for Conor McGregor, that was a beautiful performance. The shoulders to the nose, I love that. That was so different. That was so unique. I think people are going to be talking about that for months. People are going to be talking about that. That was fantastic. Pound for pound boxing says if McGregor fights Manny in the boxing world, it's easy work for Manny. Facts. You might be right about that one, brother. Logic says McGregor accuracy was on point. He's a shark that smells blood and goes in for the kill. And very few people have that finishing instinct and the touch of death. He's got both. He's got the touch of death in that left hand, in the left shoulder, in the left high kick, and he's got the killer instinct. So, he's hard to deal with, man. People can say whatever they want about Conor McGregor. That kind of explosiveness, that kind of skill, that kind of sharpness, man. He's so sharp. He's so accurate. Like, if you make one little mistake, he will capitalize and finish you. And that's what Cerrone did. When Cerrone clinched with Conor McGregor, it was a huge mistake. And Conor McGregor improvised those shoulders. And that's what you're dealing with. You're dealing with a guy who's basically a fight has a fight IQ that's genius level. I mean, he saw he was in the clinch. He just started throwing shoulders. It's just instinct for the guy, you know. He separated. They disengaged. He threw the left high kick. I mean, he just knows what to do. Not everybody's like that. Some guys are calculated. They got to think about it. They got to premeditate. This guy operates off instinct. You know, think about also that Jose Aldo fight, man. Look what he did to Jose Aldo. Could you believe he did that to Jose Aldo? What he did to Jose Aldo is unbelievable to this day. You know, he got in his head. He saw the flaw. Aldo came rushing at him and he touched him. Finished him right there on the spot. You know, he did Eddie Alvarez nasty too. The guy's a real finisher, man. So, you know, we could say what we want about him, but it's true what Logic is saying. He's a shark. If he smells blood, he goes for the kill, and he's got the teeth. He's got the teeth to critically injure you and finish you. Eric Langarica on this bitch says Dana White needs to bring back Nick Diaz. Still has one fight pending with the UFC. Big money against top names. You know, I agree. That would be a good thing to do. But Nick Diaz, I don't think, man, in his last fight, he didn't look good to me in his last couple fights. So I don't know who they'd even put him in there with. But I'm sure whoever they put him in there with, you know, it would be a big money fight. Like you said, the guy's a big money attraction. James Doherty says Pac-Man would kill Conor. Who would not act like Mayweather and bet on a 10th round stoppage? LOL. You know, I don't know, man. I don't know. I again, call me crazy. In this channel, everybody's opinion is accepted. I hope that includes mine. And I think Conor would do a good job. I thought he did a good job against Floyd Mayweather. And I think he'd do a good job against Manny Pacquiao, who is now, you know, as old as Luis Ortiz at the very least. Muay Thai 23 in this mug says, McGregor made me a ton in the bookies. Not one bit shocked at the result. You don't know what happens when millions is involved. But Pac-Man would destroy McGregor, in my opinion. You guys might be right about that. And I'm glad you won some money, Muay Thai 23. I'm very happy for you on that one, brother. Pound for pound. Oh, and by the way, speaking of winning money, I do remember telling you guys in my prediction yesterday and on Monday that this fight was going to end in the first 3 rounds with a finish for Conor McGregor. And he definitely did not disappoint, and I don't think my prediction did either. Of course, I'm not incredibly impressed with my own prediction because I really expected this to happen. But nonetheless, I hope you guys, if you utilized my prediction, won a little bit of money at the sports books. Muay Thai 23 says Nick Diaz would get whooped. He's just not into it anymore. And I would agree 100% with Muay Thai 23 on that one. Logic says McGregor's shoulder punches may have revolutionized the UFC in a way future fighters adapt in the clinch. You know, I'm laughing at that, but that could actually happen. I mean, really, I've never seen anything like that in the post-fight interview. Even Cowboy Cerrone was saying he'd never seen anything like that. The only time I've seen something like that is in grappling. Maybe when a guy is like top position on somebody and, you know, they rain down a little shoulder to, you know, to try to hurt them. But I've never seen somebody in the stand-up in the clinch throw a shoulder so hard that it like disorients and you know, stuns their opponent. I mean, that was fantastic. Daniel Aon, thank you for joining the chat, guys. Hit the subscribe button and the bell notification icon if you haven't already. And join us Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 7 p.m. Pacific live. And immediately after the big fights like we're doing now. Daniel Aon says, good fight. I'm not surprised or impressed, though. Cowboy's shin is weak. Dude's been in the game for a while and has been knocked out before multiple times. You're not impressed. I mean, I could see how you're not surprised. But you're not impressed by a guy for basically the first time we've ever seen stun his opponent with shoulder smashes in a clinch and then finish him immediately afterwards and end the fight in 40 seconds? Hey, everybody's entitled to their opinion. I'm surprised. I'm not surprised. I'm impressed. I'm not surprised. I'm impressed. Nick Stevers says Pac-Man would whoop Conor, probably. James Doherty says Ortiz is 55. Man, Ortiz, look, if you took Ortiz to Denny's right now, he could order off the back of the menu. IHOP or Denny's, this man can order whatever he wants. I'll invite Luis Ortiz. This is an open invite, brother. I'll take you to IHOP or Denny's anytime you're in Los Angeles. Hit me up, and it's on me. It's on me. And you got to order from the back of the menu. Nick Stevers said Floyd played with him for 8 rounds. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. Muay Thai 23 says Cowboy is a broken fighter. Just can't hang with them kind of fighters anymore. We'll see. We'll see how he does in his next performance. Cowboy's very hit or miss, you guys. Cowboy's very hit or miss. He's beaten some quality guys. And he's lost to some quality guys. I do think he loses to quality guys more than he beats them at this point. But at any day, I feel like Cowboy can win a fight. And a lot of people were giving him a chance in this fight. I mean, McGregor was only like a 300 or 250 favorite or something like that, which surprised me. I thought he would have been a much bigger favorite. And that's because I think people are conscious and aware of how dangerous Cowboy can be. Detour says, I hate the fact that Dana is more than likely to go straight up, sign the deal for Conor to fight Masvidal without thinking about future fights. That should happen first. I agree with that. I agree, man. I agree. I have a problem with that as a person. I have a problem with that as a fan. More than anything, I have a problem with that as a promoter myself. I never aim for the gimmick fights. I don't give a shit about the gimmick fights. I always try to go, for the guys who, giving the guys who deserve a good fight. I think, again, in the long run, the integrity is the most important thing of the sport. You're always going to bring in these casual fans with time, but I feel like it's the diehard fans, the hardcore fans that stick around. That's your loyal crowd. That's the crowd that loves you. That's the crowd that'll spend money on you. And you turn them off. You turn them off when you give them bullshit fights, man. And that's something I got a problem with. Logic says, which fight is the most interesting bout? Wilder Fury 2 or Khabib Ferguson? Throwing T.O. versus Loma 2020 off to a great start. Oh, man, you're right about that. That is a great start, man. That is a great start. I think... Wow. Fury versus Wilder 2 or Khabib versus Ferguson. Man, that's a tough call. I think Khabib versus Ferguson is probably bigger internationally. And I say that because I don't think Wilder has that big of a fan base. I think Fury has a bigger fan base than Wilder. But I think, Ferguson and Khabib both have big fan bases, and I think Khabib has a big international fan base that, you're not going to see too often. So I actually think that's the biggest fight of the year. It's an MMA fight and not a boxing fight, although I am very excited for Wilder versus Fury 2 and Teofimo versus Loma. D-Boy65 says that shoulder hit seemed dirty and unprofessional. I hope Pac-Man punishes Conor for that. Oh my God, D-Boy. D-Boy, you sound like you got your feelings hurt. D-Boy, you were making a case for Cowboy yesterday, man. I feel like I feel like we got a Cowboy fan here in D-Boy. I love you, D-Boy, but that's not dirty, my man. There's nothing dirty about throwing the shoulder, man. It's MMA. If you throw an elbow, if you throw a knee, it's worse than a shoulder. I just think the shoulder was creative, but I do think it's funny that you're coming to back up your boy, and that shows your loyalty, and I appreciate that. Christopher Reuter says, The way McGregor finishes guys like Aldo, etc., so quickly by finding their flaws makes you really wonder if Habib has any flaws. I do think Habib has some flaws. I do think in the stand-up, Habib has some flaws. I do think on the ground he has some flaws. I do think Tony Ferguson will expose those flaws on the ground. As far as the stand-up goes, I do think a focused Conor could probably still get the job done against Habib, on any given night. So all fights that I want to see, a rematch with Conor, Tony versus Habib, Gaethje versus Habib, all stuff I would love to see. James Doherty says Mayweather used the shoulders to block shots. Conor used it to strike. He's some fighter, as I have never seen that before. Okay, I'm not a big UFC watcher, but that was class by Conor. I agree. I mean, how could you not appreciate that? How could you not appreciate that? The guy employed something in his first fight back after being gone for a year and 3 months. He employed something that we've never seen against a top-level competitor in Cowboy Cerrone, made it work to the point where he set up the finish with it. I mean, that's just, man, the guy's just fucking gifted. I mean, look, I'm not kissing his ass. I'm just telling it like it is. That's how we get down on this channel. I try to be objective. Being objective is very important. It maintains the integrity of everything, of the sport, of everything. When you're objective, that was incredible, you guys. I mean, to rattle and stun an opponent in MMA, in the UFC, a high caliber opponent with the most finishes and the most fights in UFC history, with a shoulder strike in the clinch, and to do it purposefully and to do it 4 or 5 times and set up a finish that way. Come on, you guys. Give the guy some credit. You got to give the guy some credit. Let's see here. Muay Thai 23 says, bro, I know he's hit or miss, but he's in the winter of his career and has taken a lot of damage. That's true. I can agree with that. But still, man, still a class fighter. Eric Langarica says, back to boxing. I believe Rosario is on borrowed time. I was not impressed. Julian Williams is not an elite fighter, but I believe he is a good fighter. You know what, Eric Langarica, I believe that I believe that you are correct, and I agree with you, and I believe that you're a guy who can see things that only people who really watch boxing can see, because that's exactly what I think. I think Julian Williams got really lucky by beating Jarrett Hurd. I think he was able to beat Jarrett Hurd because he pushed himself to his physical limit in training. But Julian Williams doesn't really have the technique, I don't think, to be an elite fighter. But you can tell he's a hardworking guy. And I believe he pushed himself to the limit in training and did just enough to squeak by Jarrett Hurd in that fight. Did just enough to be able to impose his will physically on Hurd in that fight. But I didn't see anything special from him. And I don't see anything special from Rosario either. I see just another hardworking, physically strong, come forward kind of guy. I'm interested to see how that entire division shapes up. If you guys saw, I do have an interview with Terrell Gachet, who's in the division. It was recently posted. I look forward to what he can do in the division, because he's probably one of the better boxers. Obviously, Jermell Charlo. Obviously, Tony Harrison. It's going to be a very exciting time. I would love to see Tony Harrison fight Rosario. I would like to see that very much, if that's something that they can make happen. Logic says if Pac-Man fight happens, or if Pac-Mac fight happens, it should have more fireworks, since both fighters love to exchange, whereas May is more defensive. I agree with that. Ginger Giant, what up, my brother? Thank you for joining the chat. He says, told y'all a long time ago, stop playing with my boy. And you're right, man. Your boy is not to be played with. not to be trifled with is Conor Mystic Mac McGregor. D-Boy65 says, come on, bro. Every real boxing fan knows Mayweather went easy on McGregor. Bullshit. He went easy on McGregor. He couldn't do nothing with McGregor until he started walking him down, and he knew that he'd gas and break eventually. But Mayweather was in a real fight there, and you guys can think and say what you want. There's no way as a professional fighter you're going to let somebody hit you that many times the way McGregor hit Mayweather. I don't think he was carrying him. I think he earned his way into that 10th round when Mayweather finally walked him down and broke him. He was walking through his punches like it was nothing. He had no respect for Conor's power. Logic says, didn't Khabib wobble Mac in the stand-up? Khabib probably best ground technician in UFC history. He landed a clean shot on McGregor and dropped him. But it was because he faked a shot, okay? And McGregor had to defend the shot. When you're fighting a wrestler, you always have to be wary of the shot. And that's what happened there. It's not like they were having a pure striking match and Khabib was able to do something special against McGregor because his striking is so impressive. No, he faked the shot and threw an overhand right that connected flush. But definitely Conor was, getting the better, I think, of the stand-up exchanges. But when it got to the ground, obviously that's Khabib territory. Eric Langatica says, D-Boy65, if you thought that was dirty, man, pride fighting was rough. Head kicks and knees on the floor. Pretty awesome, dude. Yeah, man, they used to stomp each other and shit. Christopher Reuter says, I wouldn't be surprised if Conor learned the shoulder move from Mayweather. Isn't it the kind of dirty move boxers use? Well, I mean, I guess so, and maybe that's something he learned from his boxing trainer. He did say he brought his boxing trainer into camp, and so maybe that's something he learned from boxing. Hey guys, if you're in the chat, it's much appreciated. Hit the subscribe button and the bell notification icon right here to help me continue to build the channel. We do this live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific, and immediately after all the big fights by subscribing and hitting the like button. Be sure to hit the like button. By doing so, you're helping me build the channel and the only Pro-Am kickboxing promotion in the entire state of California. Fighters Rep. We got Fighters Rep 9 coming up February 28th. It's a Friday night. It's our first in our Friday night fight series. So come out and watch the fights with us if you're anywhere near Southern California. If not, it's going to be aired live and free right here on YouTube. Also, if you guys donate anything to the Super Chat or get your Fighters Rep shirts in the link below, the proceeds will get reinvested right back into Fighters Rep, and you're helping me build up these young, incredible fighters that we've got on these cards, man. Some of the best camps in the world. I'm talking about Black House MMA, where Anderson Silva trains, Systems Training Center, CMMA, all the best camps out here in California. They're probably the best in the world. Actually, they are the best in the world, so you'll definitely see the most high-quality fights, pure striking, that you'll ever see in your life. So, of course, donations, subscriptions, likes, comments, shares, everything helps. So thank you guys so much. Let's see here. Logic says, do you think, due to the controversy of early stoppage, the UFC ref let the fight go the appropriate amount, or should he have stopped it earlier? I'm not sure who you're talking about. If you're talking about the boxing match, tonight, I do think it should have gone longer, the Julian Williams-Rosario boxing match, but I'm not sure who you're talking about. Daniel Aon says, can't wait for Khabib to humble him again. Damn. Nick Stevens says, come on, Mayweather carried him, buddy. Nah, bro, I disagree with that 1,000%. James Doherty says, I give Conor his dues. He did hurt Mayweather with a great body shot, but the ref stepped in at the time, called it a low blow. It was not. There you go. And he also landed a nice uppercut that I remember. H. Sank V says, do you watch football? I watch a little bit of football, but I'm kind of useless because I'm a Miami Dolphins fan, born and raised in Miami-Dade County. So I'm a Miami Dolphins fan, and I live out in Los Angeles now. I'll go for the Rams as my second favorite team or whatever. But I'm a Miami Dolphins fan, so you're probably not gonna get anything great out of me. Even though Miami has the Dolphins, the greatest football team. They take the ball from goal to goal like no one's ever seen. They're in the air, they're on the ground. They're always in control. And when you say Miami, you're talking Super Bowl. I had to do that for you guys. I'm sorry. Detour says, I love Conor's style, but now that he's fighting again, I want to see if Conor has the grit still to train like a poor man, being as he's rich now. And that's what makes the difference between a guy and a champ. Well, I mean, if we look at it that way, he's been rich since, 2016, 2015. So, but I see what you're saying. Christopher Reuter says, do the Chiefs win by 20 or 30? I'll just say 20. H. Sank V says, LOL. H. Sank V, you better subscribe. Making me sing and do all kinds of crazy shit. You better subscribe, hit the bell notification icon. Logic says, it was J-Rock's fault for the stoppage. If he was hurt, he should have taken the knee. If he was hurt to recover. Dude was definitely hurt. Wasn't going to make it out the round. Logic, he wasn't given... Come on, Logic. Logic, I love you, my brother. He was not given the chance to take the knee. He was not given a chance. He was getting hit. He was, stumbling a little bit, maybe about to go down. The referee came in and did a Holly Holm, Raquel Pennington. Came in, got him in the clinch, and waved off the fight. Gave him no chance to take a knee or to do anything else. And thank you for subscribing, H. Sank V. Much appreciated, my brother. Thank you for that. Let's see here. James Doherty says there's only one team in football. Liverpool FC. Thank you so much for that, James Doherty. Well, we watch a different kind of football over here in this country, brother. I'm not sure if that's a good thing. In fact, I think your football is probably a healthier sport considering what our football does to people's brains and their lives. But, I like watching both, so I'll leave it at that. Drew Ricker, thank you so much for joining the chat, brother. Hit the subscribe button, the bell notification icon if you haven't already. He says, why are people saying it's fake? Drew, I'm not even sure what you're talking about. What are people saying what is fake? I don't know what you mean by that. And thank you so much for subscribing, Christopher Reuter. It's much appreciated, my brother. Daniel Aon says, who do you want to watch Conor fight next in welterweight? Wow, if he's going to fight at welterweight, I would like to see him fight Jorge Masvidal or Kamaru Usman. But, or even Tyron Woodley would be a lot of fun because I know they've got a little bit of beef. But, if it's up to me, man, he stays at 155. He fights Gaethje. And we really get some clarity on who the man is in each one of these divisions and stop playing around, bouncing around. Daniel Aon, or rather Detour, says Chiefs going down, pound, tighten up. Mahalo Mikkel, thank you so much for coming back, brother. Much appreciated. He says, finally caught this live panel. I live in Europe, and this is usually live when it's still dark here in Europe. Nice to be here again. Hey, man, thank you for joining. I really appreciate you joining. And, much love to all the homies out there in Europe. Logic says, even when J-Rocks got off the canvas when he fell, his legs were gone. I think the ref knew too much time left, and J-Rock was definitely hurt. You might be right. But again, I would have liked to at least give him one more chance to either get knocked down or to, take a knee and try to collect himself. Because, man, he's the defending champion, and you want to give him the opportunity to redeem himself and to collect himself and to recover. You want to give him the benefit of the doubt. Hey, there's way more of you in here than there are likes. I'm going to ask that all of you hit that like button. Show some love. It's the least you can do for the channel. It'd be much appreciated. Again, hit the like button. So, a recap again, Conor McGregor, I mean, in 40 seconds, puts Cowboy Cerrone away in beautiful, not even dramatic fashion, beautiful fashion, puts him away, no questions asked, lands 4 or 5 shoulder strikes, the likes of which we've never seen before, to set up the finish, which, the finishing sequence started with a shoulder strike, was transitioned into a head kick, and then ended with strikes on the ground. Just, a variety of striking and pugilistic scrumptiousness, the likes of which you'll never see in your life for most fighters. And I was absolutely delighted as a fight fan with what I witnessed. Logic says, I think Harrison beats Rosario. Let's see here. I think the ref knew, or rather, I think Harrison beats Rosario. The cut early on played a big factor in the fight. J-Rock was definitely bothered by it. I agree with that. I think Harrison beats Rosario, and I'd like to see Harrison take on Charlo again too. Christopher Reuter says, typical Titans from Detour, can't spell Chiefs. You'll know how to spell it after all the end zone dancing that take place at Arrowhead this weekend. Daniel Aon, check out the new Dana White emoji. Oh, with a bunch of pigs. That's horrible. H. Sank V says, Masvidal is a beast. It's kind of unfair fight, to be honest. I mean, I think Masvidal is so much bigger than Conor McGregor, right? That I don't see how that is a fair fight. But, I don't know. If Conor's willing to do it, I'm willing to watch it. Logic says, I think the shoulder punches are what busted or possibly broke Cowboy's nose. I agree 100% that is the reason that the nose got broken. Let's see here. Detour says, you say he's been rich since 2016. That was his last UFC win. Then he gave Floyd a boxing match. And then the Eagle made him step away for like 15 months. Is he refocused? I think he's refocused. He looked really good. The fight game, we love it. Much appreciated. Mahalo Mikel with the donation to the chat. Man, I really appreciate the donation. As you all know, anything you guys donate, it gets reinvested right back into the promotion. I probably need to get greedy at some point. Take some of that money for myself. But I just reinvested back into the promotion to help build some of these young fighters, man. You guys have no idea how many great young kids there are in Los Angeles or down here in Southern California that all they want is a chance to compete. I'm affording them the opportunity to do that. I want to say that unfortunately, the costs of putting together a professional show is so high in California that I'm literally the only pro kickboxing event in the entire state of California, despite the fact that I've only been doing kickboxing events since February of last year. We haven't even been around. I want to share this with you guys while you guys are on here, because I think it's important for the fight game, for you guys to understand what goes on in the inner workings of the fight world. So it's so expensive to put on a professional bout in California that there's literally no other kickboxing promotion other than my own. And the only promotions that do some kickboxing in California mix it up with other things like Muay Thai and MMA and stuff like that, typically. And they're only amateur, so that means they'll never really pay the fighters. And they'll probably continue to do amateur fights for decades. I mean, I think the only ones that do any kind of kickboxing have been amateur promotions forever. And again, it's almost debilitating how expensive it is to put on a professional promotion. And so these guys, there's all these amateur leagues they can compete in, but once they want to go pro, they have nowhere to go. Once they're finally seasoned and they're fantastic fighters and they're ready to go, the only place for them to go pro is the UFC. And, what happens to these guys that don't want to clinch or don't want to grapple? What happens to these strikers? They basically end up in no man's land, or they have to wait for Glory Kickboxing, which is based in Northern Europe, to come out here to the United States. And it's a real fucking shame, and I want to create a league for these guys, and that's what I've done with Fighters Rep. We're having our first Pro-Am in February. I want to create a league for these guys to live out their dreams. I want to create the next great fighters in the next great combat sport. And I do believe that this rule set is the most exciting combat sport in the world, this unified rules kickboxing. There's no clinching, there's no grappling. You either punch, kick, or knee, and that's it. If you clinch, it's like boxing. They're going to break you up, and you got to go to war. So, I mean, it's a fantastic, entertaining rule set. Ginger Giant says, y'all watch the football where you don't use your foot. Oh, my God. You're right about that, brother. James Doherty says, I think Conor will knock someone out in 12 seconds so he can say that was my proper 12. That's a good one, James. That's a clever one, James. I like it. Logic says, hit that like, fellas. We're hearing good stuff here. Much love to you, Logic. Thank you for that, brother. Mahilo says the 170 is a death row at this moment. Conor won't have any easy rides after this one. Exciting times for the UFC coming. I agree, man. Whether it's 155 Mahalo or 170, anywhere he goes, man, he's got to deal with some tough, rough customers. Daniel Aon says, I don't think welterweight is good for Conor. He isn't big enough, in my opinion. And there's lots of monsters in the weight class. That I agree with. I think Usman, Covington, even Masvidal, all these guys are just way too big for Conor. Ginger Giant says, first thing I do is like every time, bro. Much love to you. Thank you for that, Ginger Giant. Your YouTube etiquette is on point, brother. That must be that European etiquette, my brother. Thank you so much for that European etiquette. All my Europeans on the chat, I love you guys so much. Logic says, great stuff as always. Looking forward to the next one. Definitely respect your insight in the fight game. Thank you for that, Logic. Thank you, man. Mahilo says, kickboxing question. I live in the Netherlands. Holland traditionally has a strong history with the Dutch school method of fighting. Is this method still occurring and taught there in the United States? I'll tell you this. So it doesn't look like it, but I try to train at least twice a week. And it depends on the school you go to. So in my school, they like the Dutch style because, for instance, when you're throwing a kick, let's say like in Muay Thai, right? When you throw the kick, you cut with your arm, right? So the leg comes up. If my right leg comes up, my right arm is cutting down as I'm throwing the kick. Pa, pa, I'm trying to get some snap on the kick. But with the Dutch style, they're framing. That's at least that's what we're taught. They're framing when they kick in the Dutch style. So you kick and your hand is still up, framing the guy in case you want to, throw a punch or do something else. You can gauge your distance with that arm, the same arm that you're throwing a kick with. So, that's what they teach in the school that I go to, the framing. And Chad, who's the owner of the gym, Chad George, he's world famous combat jiu-jitsu world champion, and he fought for Bellator and he fought for the WEC. He trains the Dutch style. He likes the framing because he says it's more applicable to MMA, whereas the cutting, which is more applicable to Muay Thai, is not good for MMA because obviously in MMA you have grappling. So that Dutch style, having your hand out there, helps you to be more ready for, takedowns and grappling and stuff like that. And I really respect, that insight from Chad. And, either you'll agree with it or you won't, but that's what we do. Daniel Aon says, I don't see Conor being the champ of the welterweight division. Me neither. For me, it seems like something that's possible, but not something that's probable. I could see Usman and Masvidal fighting for it. I would think that's maybe a 50-50 fight. Maybe 60-40 in favor of Usman because of the wrestling. But Masvidal has a tremendous shot because I think he's way better than Usman on the feet. So, we'll just have to see there. But those guys are just too big for McGregor. Let's see. Ginger Giant says, your rule set rules out people who make a living hugging nutsacks. That's why I will support your organization to the fullest. Thank you so much for that, Ginger Giant. You know what I mean? I really appreciate that. And look, guys, I promise, if you tune in on February 28th, or if you go back on this channel, you go back and you watch some of our live fights, you won't be disappointed, man. Even the fights where it's amateurs and they're wearing headgear and shin guards, the shin guards are very thin and the headgear hasn't really, we've had one of the most spectacular knockouts ever with headgear on. So even with the amateur fights where they have headgear and shin guards, I'm telling you, it's still a fantastic rule set, and you'll see some of the best fights you'll ever watch. And then I really try, my belief, again, and this goes towards integrity, because I think integrity is so fucking important. My belief is to match the guys up as evenly as possible. Obviously, my talent pool can be limited sometimes because I'm only working within Southern California, although I've got some fighters from Northern California that'll come in, maybe some from close by states. But, I'm like the UFC where I could bring in guys from other countries. But luckily, Southern California does have the most talented fighters in the world. But that being said, I'm limited to Southern California, so I don't always have the best talent pool. But what I do try to do is, what I'm trying to say is I don't always have the most diverse talent pool. But what I do try to do is when I do have guys that are of similar stature and similar records, which typically I do, I match them up, man. I never, ever, ever, I can say this wholeheartedly and confidently. I've never made a tomato can fight. I've never made an A-side versus B-side fight. I've always made fights where I believe both guys could win the fight. Always, every time. And I think when you do that, you really see the competitive juices flowing. These guys really fight it out and they bring out the best in each other. And you see some dramatic stuff at these shows, you guys. I'm telling you, And, I've studied these kids now. I know how good they are. I know what their flaws are. I know what their weaknesses and their strengths are. I know, their coaches and where they train, and it's top-level strikers and UFC guys and everything else down here in Southern California. So I definitely think, if you guys tune in, if you watch the previous fights we've already recorded and you tune in on February 28th live, it's going to be free. All I ask is that you guys donate to help me pay for this and keep it free. You guys will see some of the most fantastic fights you've ever seen. What other channel is, I'm going to ask you this. What other channel is covering combat sports the way we are, listening to your guys' opinions, not excluding anybody because of their, political point of view or race or ethnicity or anything stupid like that, because none of that matters. What other channel is doing this, having an open forum for everyone to discuss their favorite fights, while at the same time creating a fight promotion and giving you guys free fights to watch? I feel like there's a lot of value in that. I think if you guys, stick with us and continue to help us to build, this could be the greatest promotion in the world. One of the great, that's my aim. I'm not stopping until this thing is the best. Especially at the very least, I want to start off being the best in California, then the best in the United States, then the best in the world. And as far as kickboxing promotions, I already have no competition in California because unfortunately just the state, the insurance, everything else just makes it so hard to do. It's so expensive. It just doesn't make business sense. So you have to love it and invest and hope that it works out. And that's what we're doing here. That's what we're doing. And I have a lot of hope for it, you guys. I have a lot of hope for it. Daniel Aon, or rather Ginger Joe. Mahalo Mikhail says, great technical answer, and I fully agree. Thank you so much for that, brother. I figure if anybody knows what they're listening to or talking about, they'd appreciate it. But Knuckleheads, I've actually been on an hour and 10 minutes. Your generosity, your time is much appreciated. As you can see from my eyes, I can barely hold them open right now. I woke up at 5 o'clock this morning. I drove out to damn near Big Bear to to do some snow sports with the fam. Uh, my eyes are on fire. I can't see. I've been on the phone all day trying to make fights. I'm basically going blind. I'm basically going blind trying to put together this sport and get help to put together this sport. I'm making fights all day long. I'm sending contracts. I'm sending deadlines. All this stuff. Thank God I got a fantastic matchmaker in Jesse Brown who just got his purple belt today. Congratulations to him. I got a fantastic Instagram and social media kid. His name is Ivan Calderon. You definitely want to follow these guys on Instagram. Follow us on Instagram. I got Marco Martinez who helps out with this chat with the channel. So, much appreciated, man. You guys are as integral as all those people, as all my staff is, which is basically, just to let you guys know again how fucking expensive and debilitating it is to run a pro promotion out in California. My entire staff is family. Like, I got sister-in-laws and brother-in-laws and cousins and all kinds of people doing shit for me. And we make it work. It's tribal as fuck. We make it work though. People love the show. It's got this boutique family vibe. We get things done. The fighters love us. I come out of pocket to give them food. And I did that after weigh-ins. We feed the fighters, So I really try to look out for the fighters because I know a lot of them don't have money. So, I'll bring some really healthy food for them, some drinks. I'll bring extra for their coaches and stuff for after weigh-ins. We get pictures done for them. I hire a professional photographer. Obviously, we have a videographer that live streams. It was only until the last event that I was able to finally find. It's so sad. It's so sad. It's so sad, you guys. It wasn't, you guys, I've been promoting for 2 years now. It wasn't until the very last event, you guys, that I was able to find somebody in Los Angeles, okay, where I live, which is the most populous fucking place in the universe. You would think I would have more support and more help. It wasn't only until the last fight where I was able to find a food guy that was willing to donate food to the fighters. Yeah, and the only reason, I was able to make that happen is I told him he can sell food at the fights. And I thought his food was so delicious that I wanted my customers that were coming to watch the fights, I wanted the fight fans to be able to eat this guy's food because it was so delicious. And he was the only person. So big shout out to Christian Rodriguez. You can follow him on Instagram at Mariscos El Gordo, which basically means like the fat guy seafoods in Spanish. But he was the only guy, you guys, in my 2 years of promoting that was willing to hand me some free food for these fighters, man. Man, these guys are so neglected, some of these fighters, you guys. There's so much I can tell you, man, about these young fighters. I care about these kids, man. I want them to succeed. I want to give them a chance. I want this promotion to be something where they can get paid like NFL football players, like MLB players, but it's going to take a long time and a lot of help to build. And I greatly appreciate your help. Huge shout out to Mihailo, all the way from Europe, sending us, another donation, man. Thank you so much for your generosity. It's just, let me tell you, it's emotionally, mentally, and physically exhausting. Sometimes I wonder to myself, man, why isn't anyone helping here? Why is there not more help in the fight game? No wonder all the fighters are complaining about never getting paid. Nobody gives a fuck about them, dude. It's crazy. I do, guys, I hate to say this. I do the very basics. I hire a professional photographer. I make fight posters like the one you see here. I also do a versus poster for each fight so each guy can get some shine and share it on their social media and stuff like that. We also do like a lead-up documentary, like Embedded. I have my guy Vahan do it, right? I also live stream the fight. So if these fighters, family members or whatever from out of town, or maybe they can't afford it, if they want to watch the fight, they can watch it live. I'm the only promoter, as far as I know, in California doing this. Like, there's no other one. It's crazy. This is the most populous state in the United States. This is the fourth largest economy in the world. Nobody else is doing it. I mean, is that a money grab for these other promoters? I mean, are they just in it for the money? They just want to, collect money? I mean, I really don't see any other shows doing it. I don't know. I mean, and they thank me profusely, and they're so nice, and they're so grateful, these fighters, and for the most part, once in a while you deal with a douchebag like in anything else, but they're so grateful and they're so thankful, and man, it'll bring, I swear to God, it'll bring you to tears if I show you guys some of the text messages I get from these guys. And I mean, there are literally promotions that haven't posted on social media for years that are operating out here. They haven't even posted on social media. You can't even find a video of the fight. You don't know it exists until you go onto the sanctioning body's website and it tells you that it happened. How are these fighters supposed to get any kind of notoriety? I don't understand. God bless everybody. God bless all these promoters. God bless all these fighters. Everybody's going to do things their own way. I respect that, but it pains me. It pains me when I see these fighters fighting over and over and over again, and nobody knows who the fuck they are because nobody's taken the time to give them any shine, to even make a poster for them, to even do a social media post. We post every day on Instagram, come hell or high water, every day. Facebook, Instagram, I post on Twitter, I post on fucking I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Tumblr. I mean, I think there's nothing but like hookers on Tumblr. I'm on Tumblr posting. I mean, so, any kind of help that you guys ever offer, man, is greatly appreciated. I'm telling you, it's going to these fighters, and just so you know what these guys go through. I mean, one of my champions, Wilson Ha, was a 3-striker, man. The guy had 3 strikes. He was about to go to prison. He had to jump the border. You guys can see it on the documentary we did. Just type in on the page Wilson Ha versus Oscar Moeller. It's an incredible story and documentary that our videographer Vahan did. The guys, by the way, Vahan worked for the UFC. He's contracted out by the UFC. He's insanely talented, and I love the kid. He did a documentary on Wilson Ha. Wilson Ha was a 3-striker, a former, I think he was a former gang member, 3-striker. After he got his 3rd strike, jumped the border to Mexico, flew out to China to escape, discovered Muay Thai, came back, did his time in prison, got out, became a changed man, won a belt with us. I mean, this is the kind of kids that you're dealing with. This sport saves a lot of kids that are bad, and it gives even the good kids, it gives them discipline and prevents them from being bad. So anyway, that rant is long enough. It's already 1 hour and 17 minutes into this video. Thank you for supporting the channel. Just by being on here, man, you guys are supporting. Hit the subscribe button, the bell notification icon. It's much appreciated. I'm just going to read these last comments and then leave you guys alone because my eyes are on fire and I'm absolutely exhausted. And even when I'm not working my full-time job, yes, I have a full-time job, just so you guys know that. When I'm not working my full-time day job, I'm working my full-time other job, which is Fighters Rep. So it's Ronsta, thank you for being here, brother. He says, morning champ, top channel, best fighting channel. Thank you, brother. James Doherty says, the way Conor was talking after the fight tells me he likes the weight, but he'll drop back down again, where his power is greater. He used the fight to ease himself back into fighting. I agree with that. Where's the morning whiskey? Man, I wanted to have the whiskey. I actually had it before I started the chat, though. And then I got some of this Joybird. The guy who makes Joybird is actually a guy who's probably going to start a energy recovery drink, thinking about sponsoring Fighters Rep. So much love to them. Ginger Giant says Fighters Rep is doing it proper. Thank you for that, brother. Mihailo says too much politics, unfortunately. When they cannot exploit fighters, they are not interested. Just remember your vision and goals. The grind is real, but pressure forms diamonds. You're telling me, man. You're telling me. Oh, man. Ginger Giant. Says, if I ever come up, I will do you all right. Trust me. Thank you so much, Ginger Giant. Hey, man, like I said, the fights are going to be free on here for you guys to watch. Just you guys being on here, it means a ton. Ronson says, good guy always come last. It's a sad fact the most successful promoter exploit their fighters and think of their own pockets. It's a sad fact the industry need people like you. We're going to change that, and not every promoter's a bad guy. I think there's some good ones out there. And I want to be, known as a good one, a man of his word, and somebody who helps the fighters out. But knuckleheads, I'm wasted. It's an hour and 20 minutes in. I'm just, by wasted I mean very tired. I will probably see you guys tomorrow, but if not, definitely Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 7 p.m. like clockwork. We're here live. We'll continue to talk about this fight, I'm sure. Also, check out the interviews on the channel. I just did another one with Manny Robles, one with Terrell Gachet, one with Edmund Taverdian. That one should be up probably tomorrow. I'll put that up for you guys. And another one with the gym owners of the Jackrabbit Boxing Club in Long Beach, where Manny Robles and all these people I just named are training their fighters. It's sort of becoming like the new wild card gym of Los Angeles here in the South Bay, Long Beach area. So, you definitely want to check that out. But anyway, knuckleheads, much love. Poland salutes you. Thank you, man. God bless Poland, man. Much appreciated. I love it when, we have international viewers. But I got to go, man. Have a great one, you guys.